Hey guys, what's up? We're back. This is the second episode of our podcast series. The first one, if you guys watched, we talked about friendships and how we met as a group of friends. And today we're going to be, tackling a topic that I feel like a lot of you can relate to. We're going to be talking about some relationships and hookup culture and things like cheating and stuff and other topics similar to that. So like I said before in the first episode, where this podcast is going to discuss a wide variety of topics, which I feel like will be captivating to most of you guys, or to almost all of you guys, because some of you guys might be interested in politics and tech and business and sports and stuff, and we just know enough people and we have enough guests to tackle almost every topic. So that was one of the initial goals coming in. We wanted to just talk about as much as we can, and we feel like we have the right group of people for that. So having said that, I'm going to pass it on to my main man over here, Smit.
What's going on? I'm Smit. If you're brand new to the podcast, I'm 21, go to Rutgers Business School.
What's up everyone? My name's Hemanth, I'm also 21, go to Rutgers, studying computer science.
Hi, my name is Paarth, I go to Middlesex. My major is business, and I'm 22 years old.
What's up, guys?
Not much.
Name's Raj, I'm 21, I also go to Rutgers.
I'm 23. Just throw that.
So, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Alright, so as Deep mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about some relationship stuff today. So to go right into it, and this is to anybody, what makes you approach a female? So just even before we go into relationships, just what initiates it for you?
Are you talking about the initial?
Initial contact, you could be anywhere, a gym, a mall, a club, a bar, anywhere.
Right. Well, I mean, anyone want to tackle it first, or? I mean, honestly, I can speak for myself. I'm gonna be straight up honest. For me, it's the looks. Everyone has their own types. Everyone's attracted to a specific way a female looks. So for me, it has to be the looks. But at the end of the day, if I end up getting with that person, it's not gonna be the looks that sustains it, right? But I feel like you can't be disingenuous and say that it's not the looks that initially don't matter. That's the only thing. That's the only thing you see, right? So it's if you see a female at a club or at a
Plus,
bar,
right? With the people you're approaching in these situations, you probably don't know them that well.
Right.
And the first
Or
thing
at all,
and the first thing you probably notice when you look at these individuals is probably
it's the only thing you have.
Yeah, that's the only thing you have. Yeah.
Like I said, they said, you haven't heard her speak yet, which could be a big
Potentially,
turn everything on that, but you guys know what I mean.
In my opinion, I think height is also a big factor.
That's
having taller, I find it a cringe to me.
Oh,
I don't want my level.
Okay. So you don't want somebody that's taller.
You don't want
But
somebody
it goes.
That's the looks thing.
That goes back into the looks thing.
It always goes out of looks.
Yeah, essentially, and not in just the fact they look good or anything, but hygiene related, cleanliness. You could see that just based off of looks.
I'd also say this might be small, but maybe even the way they're dressed.
Oh,
Just what they're wearing.
See, that's a good point, because I feel like that's something that society doesn't really they have this naive view that all we care about is that
all
what their
men
curvature is
yeah.
But it's do you not realize that the way a girl presents herself is also something attractive to men? It's not solely exclusive to women. Women talk about confidence and swag that men walk with. Well, that also applies to women.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be attracted to that.
Yeah, exactly.
It may not be just what they're wearing, just how do you work what you're
How do you work with what you get? Same thing that applies that women talk about when with men. So
yeah. So now going into that, do you think? Actually, you wanna pose this one? You said it.
Oh, right. Yeah. So we were discussing some ideas before that we started this, but I had a question for all you guys. Do you guys think that looks when you're that looks actually matter as much as society thinks it does? So I could word it differently. A lot of if you look at articles on this, Psychology Today or whatever, they'll tell you that for men, looks matter so much more to attractiveness than women, because women are so much more emotional and like their personality, you know, gender personality differences. You know, all men care about is looks. Do you guys think that that could be like disproven? Like, do you think that's like actually untrue? Do you think men just lie about that? Like, do you think like men are too like scared or they're shy to talk about the fact that they're in like they like a woman not just solely based on her looks?
Yeah, I think for the purpose of just for like the culture, I guess, and just for, like to hype other people up, or just for the sake of like humor and whatnot.
Yeah.
People are gonna they're gonna focus on the looks for the most part. But I think like at the end of the day, right, to sustain like a long-term relationship with someone you want to like stay with a long time with, it's obviously gonna be more than just looks, right?
Right.
Looks aren't gonna be what's carrying the relationship.
Like, can you trust a person?
Can you
So
trust
personality wise.
Right.
Personality-wise.
Well, the reason why I asked that question is because if you do like if you read an article that says that like, well, women are less likely to care about looks when they initially meet a man, that just doesn't make sense, because the same reason we give when we're attracted to women, that's all you see. And so for women, the only thing they see is how the man looks, right?
That's
so it's
for
like
both sides,
that's for both sides, but
Yeah,
people tend to conflate that and say, oh well, women don't give they don't give a shit about looks at all. Like all they care about is personality. I'm like, but to be initially attracted to someone, to get your foot in the door, you have to be physically attracted to the person.
Yeah.
Because you haven't heard them say a single word.
Yeah, exactly.
And that,
Well, like, and also like, if you want, what do you want to debate is like physical attractiveness, or like, are you fit? You know, do you have good hygiene and stuff
good
like
hygiene, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you like take care of your
This
body?
could go
Yeah.
for a wide array of anything, you know.
Yeah.
Or even at like, let's say a location that you're at, like let's say you're into a girl that's into cars and stuff, like you might see a girl at a car meet and you're like, no matter what, it's like, oh, I'm really into this.
So it's also situational.
Yeah,
And
situational.
even then, like in today's society, especially just because of like social media, you only get to look at looks essentially.
Yeah.
You can
mostly
only
everything.
get so much personality out
exactly.
of
I mean, that's
Instagram.
like Instagram,
feel,
right?
yeah, exactly. Like
Right.
Instagram, you got filters, you got
Filters,
everything,
yeah.
and it's only pictures or videos.
Yeah.
So you can't. That's all you're going based off on, though, in that situation. So I feel like looks is getting like over talked about.
Over talked about, right?
in today's.
But I would say, just to answer the question, do looks matter? They absolutely
They
do.
definitely
Yeah,
matter.
of course
Like,
they do.
when people
In
say,
an
when it
initial
doesn't make any
stage.
sense
Yeah,
to say it
initial
doesn't
stage,
matter.
yes.
It gets your foot in the door.
Get your
Essentially,
Yeah.
yeah. Unless you've heard her speak before, or you've like
Been
personally,
friends-
been friends with her,
Yeah.
personally know her, then that changes the
That's
story. But
different,
like this is essentially about any girl that you have never spoken to before,
Right.
never heard her talk, have heard nothing about her, and you just see her, and that's
Yeah,
that's
it has
just
to
really
be.
it.
Which happens to like men every day.
Yeah, it happens too consistently.
Yeah.
Would you guys say that looks would be the only factor
No.
you approaching a girl that you haven't seen before? Would there have to be something else that
Personality.
needs to be there, other than you like talking to her?
No, like say it's like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like
Yeah.
it's just like some girl that you haven't seen before, or like has like no interaction with her before. Would you say that looks is like the
only
sole
thing.
reason to approach?
Yeah.
Then what would you say?
What else would you have?
Well then, if you say no, then what's the other
Yeah.
factor?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
No. Without
Without having said a
any
word,
word,
to
she
her.
has not spoken a word to you.
Just
You
like
see
Before
a-
if you approach her.
But like no, we're just
Before
talking
any of that.
before any of that.
Say
I
you
mean,
went up, say we
Let's
went
say
to a bar.
you know you have mutual friends or something, or like maybe on Tinder or something, or just when they like
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
let's just
wow.
say you saw like someone you thought was cute at like a bar, right?
Yeah.
So
then
you're-
yeah, you absolutely I understand.
right.
But I'm saying like in the situation, like if you don't even have a relationship with her beforehand, right? What would be the things that would like prompt you to make that initial like
State like
conversation, right?
Like where she
Like-
dresses.
So the physical
Yeah, so
attraction,
you're
it's
talking
like
about-
physical
Well,
attraction.
so it's basically physical
It
attraction.
would have to be physical. I'd say it would have to be physical attraction, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to necessarily only be looks. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
It
right.
could be
It could be like
situational kind
Yeah,
of.
that's what I'm
It's
talking
definitely
about,
situational, right?
Like if you guys were at a thing that like both of you have interest in or something.
Right, like
Yeah.
like cars, like even at a gym, right?
Yeah,
Like, you see a girl who's like working really
Yes,
hard at her craft,
exactly, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just say like somebody, like a guy who like takes fitness very seriously, and he's seeing a girl who he thinks is cute just by physical attraction, but he's like, man, she's working really hard. I could definitely like see us together. I mean, that's not, that's a factor that's not like
Yeah,
limited to physical
exactly. I'm talking
attractiveness.
about trying to figure out what those would be.
Yeah,
like.
it would be the
Oh.
situational factors.
Situational,
Yeah, the environment that you're in. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's say you went into that initial stage and
Mhm.
you've actually started talking to this girl, right? Now, has there ever been a situation where you have been within that talking stage and you found something you didn't like in a girl and, you know, stopped talking to her? What are those factors that made you stop talking to somebody?
Yeah.
I'd say like, me personally, I wouldn't just like end like any.
Well, no, not. Okay, I don't mean just straight up, just like obviously out of nowhere, but like after learning something and digging in a little bit deeper, what would those factors be?
Oh, in that case, I'd say like there wasn't really anything that's like something like a red flag that you're talking
You're
about.
saying like what would be a turn off? Like,
Yeah,
basically,
essentially, what would be a turn off for you?
If your person keeps saying no to, like, if you want to go out one, so if she constantly says no, no, no.
That's a turn off for you?
So essentially, so
Yes, we know.
so
that
you're.
means
What if she's
So
just not
so
into
she's
it?
more of like a homebody
Right.
versus like
Yeah.
rather than going.
No,
okay,
like
that's
we're saying,
perfectly
like, what-
fine.
after you made that initial state, say you started texting her, what would be like some of her interests or something, or just like
What's a
what would be
turn
a turn
off?
off to you?
Yeah, what's a
Like,
turn off to
something
you
that she
on a
likes or
female?
something you don't like? that she
I would say that a
likes?
girl who like solely focuses on talking about herself, she's
Yeah,
not
okay,
she's
so
not
self-
she's not invested in you
yeah.
fully. She just wants to
Okay.
talk about herself.
I'd say that.
That's a big
I
turn
also
off for
say
me.
like dry sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need some way to like, you know.
You don't have to be the funniest girl in the world,
Yeah,
but like,
Yeah, no, yeah, I get you.
yeah.
And
For
like,
example, I think like, if one person likes to party a lot and like, the person doesn't like to party, I think
So the different
conflicts-
personalities.
Yeah.
also
Personality.
I go with like someone who could like drive a conversation too, like
Yeah.
dive into a conversation.
Oh
instead
yeah.
of, you know, just like.
Yeah.
You know, just have you want to go into something like or have deeper conversation. Obviously, within the talking stage, in order to learn another person, you want to have that.
Exactly.
I think you made a good point though, because for me, like I think like a girl who parties a lot is the absolute
Yeah.
biggest
That's a-
turn off for me.
yeah.
And a lot of
That's a
guys,
risk
even in
taking.
college, who party a lot themselves will say that. They're like, man, I can't tell you like how many times I've been turned off by a girl who I found out just goes partying every single weekend and then she gets
But then
black,
it
you know,
also
she gets
works the same-
hammered. Yeah, it works the same way.
vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah, vice versa.
Yeah.
So how somebody may carry themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You find it all e-gender.
A D-Gen.
Yeah.
A D-Gen. Okay, sure.
Wow,
Why not?
Asian girl.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Some people find that attractive though.
Yeah. Like this is all
Yeah.
personal opinionated based.
Right.
Like obviously, don't take any offense to that. Like
Right.
this is personally between us
Yeah.
and how we feel. Okay, I can see that. I take upon your case a lot, and yours where you said it's self-centered and being able to drive a conversation.
Drive
Those are
conversation,
if
yeah.
those 2 points aren't there, especially because of the fact that
'Cause
I like having
I
conversation,
know,
deep
right.
conversation.
I'm pretty sure like everyone's had like scenarios where like you would like I guess like talk to a girl like through DMs or something, and then like it would just go to like a place where like okay, no one's talking anymore.
Right,
Yeah,
Conversation's
it's just
dry.
super
No, it
dry.
usually ends with like some one-word response.
Yeah.
It's like super
It's
dry.
like,
Okay, or LOL.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like okay, like
Yeah.
what the
But like it's either it goes one way or another.
it's both
It-
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes one way or another.
Like you could
Sometimes it
also be
happens
dry or
either.
the yeah. or the-
Sometimes it happens either because one person just isn't, you know,
Yeah.
Isn't
with their-
interested.
yeah, just they aren't into it.
Yeah.
So then you know
Yeah.
by that point.
But do you feel like that's like a big, like that's probably the biggest reason though, right? Like why those conversations become dry?
Yeah, 'cause they
Because
weren't-
they
that's
just
like,
aren't
yeah,
attracted.
essentially,
Because let's just say
one person didn't
let's
wanna
just say you
talk
take two
together.
guys, right, and you have them DM the same girl. There might be a complete difference in conversation, like how she replies if she's attracted to the one guy and she's not attracted to the other guy,
yeah.
and she's just responding to be nice.
That's
Yeah.
a good
Because
point,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
Oh,
yeah.
So like she'll like be like she might just start having like she might start talking about everything with it. Like she might be like,
Yeah.
man, your Instagram profile is this, you're into that, and the other guy is just like, yeah, whoa,
Cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I
Alright,
feel-
bye.
That's
That's
probably
it.
one of those. I think
Yeah.
that's like a very subtle way of just giving a hint. It's like I'm not
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not into
without
it.
being mean, right?
Yeah.
She's not like most girls will say that. Like I'm just trying to be nice. Like I'm not gonna completely ignore
Yeah,
exactly.
that.
Or even
Yeah.
that, or just, you know, kind of just stay friends, or either just not start anything
Yeah.
from there.
But conversation is sexy. It's like,
Like
yeah.
if the conversation is continuing.
Yeah, if it's
That's a
continuing,
good
it's
sign,
interesting.
right?
It's
Well, it attracts a
sexy.
girl to like that, like to another person, and not.
What do you mean?
I think in terms of looks, right? Or
Oh, you're
like
talking
how
about
their
girls.
Instagram
like,
looks like.
Oh, are you talking about from their
Yeah,
end? Like,
their-
what would
yeah,
attract
their-
them from
yes,
their end?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, we could.
I can't really
I
say
think
much.
I will say this though. Like, do you guys think that like, do you feel that like girls who are initially like let's say they get a DM from a guy, right? That initially they're not attracted to, just based on looks wise.
Well,
But for
well-
some odd reason, when he DMs her, she's like, man, this guy's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually turned on right now for some reason, and I'm gonna start talking to him. Like I feel like that happens a lot
I
to
think
girls,
that
and
happens.
I think guys will say the same thing. Like they might like
they
yeah.
want to continue that conversation.
Yeah.
They're like, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really into this person.
maybe like in real life he's actually
Yeah.
really funny, you know, or
I
she's
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so now,
Get into
oh
that.
yeah. So now, let's say you go beyond the talking stage, right? You get into a serious relationship with them, right? It's been a couple months, or however long it takes.
Yeah.
Now, what would you, as a person, define the difference, or what would you define the difference, or what do you care about more? Do you care about lust, or do you care about love more as a person?
What do you mean by lust?
Lust, as in
like a short-term thing, like a fling or whatever.
or actually, no. Let me pose this differently. What would you define the difference between lust and love?
Like when you're already in a relationship?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's
like,
a good question.
lust is like it's just like everything besides like the personality,
The emotional,
you know, emotional
right?
stuff.
I'd say,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Like,
There's
I'd say-
also a
I'd say-
point in there of emotional stuff, but go on.
yeah. I see what you mean, but like, I feel like, in my opinion,
I feel
I
like
might have to disagree.
I'm gonna be very honest. There's a point where some of it gets intertwined.
Mm.
Like you know that's that. But like
Well, so like if in that case, like if you're like if love is like if personality is only exclusive to love, that means like if a guy's in the lust phase, then the only reason why he's
Why
with
he's in the
her
lust
is
phase,
because
yeah,
she
yeah,
looks
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I like there has to be some aspect of her. I think love's just so much more deeper
Yeah.
than that. Like you'd have to be with a girl for like
You really
3-4 years to really genuinely
Like,
love her.
yeah.
For some people, for some guys, it might be shorter.
yeah.
But like love is something that's like it's like created and fabricated by two people almost,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah,
Whereas-
that's a good way to put it.
yeah.
Honestly.
yeah.
Doesn't
I guess yeah. I guess you
Like
want.
you can, I feel like two people can love each other within like maybe like a shorter period of time
Yeah.
than 3 years.
Yeah.
To really show that like
Yeah.
really prove to other people that like yes you two do love each other. You have to like be able to maintain that bond for like a,
Right.
I feel like,
a
like,
long period of time.
But like the difference though with lust and love.
I feel
For
like
lust-
you can't understand love until it actually happens.
yeah,
You
it's
know?
one of those
It's
things.
one of those
yeah.
situations where like
You don't you tend to not question it when you feel
exactly, yeah.
Plus, yeah, it's like when you ask like men like what does love feel like to you? Probably
Yeah.
like all of them will give different answers.
Exactly.
Because it's a like feeling specific to the relationship they're in.
Okay.
But I think I guess lust is just like you're mostly attracted to her, or you're staying with her because of how she looks. You want to show her off to all your guy friends, or
Yeah,
you don't really
yeah.
care about her well-being or whatever.
It's like more superficial.
Very
Yeah.
superficial.
But like it is like once again, it's one of the things that initiates like the initial like conversation. and,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
Looks right. Yeah.
So it is still like somewhat important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, let's say your relationship takes a south turn, and now all of a sudden it gets toxic. Have you not you personally? Okay. How do you think people deal with it, and how? Let's say you ended up in one. How would you deal with it? Without knowing. So let me pose like a situation. You've been with somebody for a couple of years now, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, like, it's been toxic, but you've been kind of blind to it a little bit, or you've been kind of just thrown on the back burner.
Mhm.
But you know, like, you've done a lot of bad things in order to be with this person, right? In that situation, how would you deal with it when you start slowly realizing the facts?
That is happening.
We'll just open up to her.
Yeah, so
honestly.
like tackle
Like,
it.
I feel like it's a simple way. Like
I'm gonna be
I think
honest. That is probably it's very difficult in a sense because at the same time, like you still do love this person. You
Yeah.
don't want to lose them, but you know.
Well, you have to be able to like confront her and like the
Like,
right
what if you
way.
cheated?
You can't just
Yeah.
like blast her like.
Yeah.
Like, what if you're cheating? Like, you
No, that's not what I mean by toxic.
No,
Not yet.
cheating-
Toxic is a
cheating
whole
can go-
nother.
yeah.
That's not what I mean by that term of toxic. I mean toxic being like, you know, she's either taking up way too much of your time for you not see anybody. She's making you drop your female friends because she doesn't trust them, or even vice versa. The male's making you drop your other male friends because he doesn't trust them.
which I think like that situation is one of the biggest driving forces for why people cheat, because they'll just like take their bad feelings and just get tempted to cheat. But
Just
that's
do
that's a
exactly
whole
the
other
opposite
like
of what
yeah.
their spouse-
Oh,
like their
But
significant
yeah,
other says,
I
right?
mean that's a good question. I mean honestly, just try to
Like,
have a conversation as best as you can. I mean,
That's the only way to do it. Because
Yeah.
if you try to talk to other people about it,
Nah.
they're gonna somehow get back to you.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll always drop back. Yeah.
yeah.
Not,
Well,
well, it'll
It'll be in
haunt
your
you.
mind.
What would you say to that?
So, what I would say is that yeah, definitely like confront her about it.
I would
Which is
like
probably one of the which is probably one of the hardest things to do because you have to kind of like build up to it. I feel like if you haven't really done it that much, or even if you're not as much of like a confrontational person, and I hate confrontations too. And then yeah, it'll either go one way or another. It either gets much worse where that fighting goes on and on and on, or you know you start to see some changes, which does happen on occasion, you know.
Right.
But it's one way or another. But you have to have those conversations. I feel like.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the situation. Like talk to a good friend, maybe people like talking to.
You would
Oh,
also
like
talk
me
to
or
somebody
something.
else
Yeah,
too, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, see how.
That's
Someone
like-
you can trust, I guess. Someone
Yeah,
you trust
someone-
like,
yeah.
go back.
Find
some back too, and then you know you obviously find that's also another.
Which
That's actually
ties
a really
into our first episode.
yeah, no, yeah, a trustworthy
Either
friend.
friends or maybe family too.
Because you need
Yes,
that
yeah,
second-
but here's the thing about family. Sometimes I feel like family gets way too into it.
Yeah.
Or they're way too biased in the sense of like, oh, they're hurting you as a person, or they're not making you, drop them immediately. Whereas if you have a friend that, you know, can actually think logically and not, you know, go to the hastiest point.
I
Yeah.
like family. I also meant like if we're in a relationship for like 3-4 years, maybe like her
Her own family
Yeah.
too, because
It'd be like, okay,
they
is
wouldn't
there
be
any,
so
like,
they might be more so biased on her end too sometimes.
That's true,
It
but
really,
just to get to know.
yeah, you know,
like,
it really depends on your situation. I feel like in that
That's
case.
true.
But you know, obviously, if you don't feel like you're ready to have that confrontation, then yes, talking to another person
That you can
that you can trust, absolutely.
with your heart.
Yeah, you know, but I feel like also a big point is that you should be able to have these conversations with your partner,
Yeah.
no matter what, and you don't really want to try and bring other people in on it.
That's
That's at least what I feel like. You know, you could go one way or another. It's always good to have friends that give you advice. I feel like,
Mhm.
you know, logical, good advice. But it's if this is also your partner that you've been with for a while, then
Yeah.
you should be able to have that conversation too.
Mhm.
I mean, I wasn't so. So
It depends like
now,
how passionate are you like to this girl? Like you want like have a friend to talk to if you're like talking to you because like you don't know how she was gonna feel or
oh,
you
like
want-
so like you also don't know how she might react. That's
Yeah,
another
react,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't know how she might
Yeah.
react, but at the end of the day, you're only scared to have that conversation because you
Because
don't
of
know how
that.
she's gonna
Yeah.
react.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That like you don't know how this like I said, it could go one of two ways. Either it goes really swell and it's a very
Yeah.
fully understanding conversation, or they're not all that understanding and they're like, no, you're gonna go by this.
Right.
You know, that's it.
Honestly, I think at that point it's like pretty safe to just
Yeah.
call it off. Like,
Again, like I said, it's not as simple as you think for a lot of people.
yeah.
When you're deeply
Like how
when
much
you're
you love the
deeply
girl.
invested into somebody, then
Like how much you love the girl, then you
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on how deeply
no, yeah,
invested you are.
that becomes more situational.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So now, why do we as a society tend to cheat more nowadays? I don't know if this is essentially kind of true, but like,
Well,
it is kind of.
I don't think there's no singular answer to it. There's plenty of like. I feel like there's different groups of people who cheat. Like.
So okay, let me pose this.
Yeah.
Why do people cheat?
For different reasons. Like
Mhm.
I'd say like most people cheat because there's some sort of problem in the relationship that like transitions them into where they want to like export their bad feelings elsewhere. So they'll like there's something toxic in the relationship and they get tempted to like do infidelity with with another female.
So
then-
essentially, like
There-
what I mentioned earlier about either a male or a female not letting their partner be friends, with the other
Right.
with the other gender,
Right.
because they don't trust them. It's
Exactly.
Like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
tired of
Because
this
you-
person,
But there's also there's also people who don't. Let's just say like they have the personality characteristics that wouldn't make them susceptible to cheating. They're like the most decent people you'll meet. Like they're conscientious, they have emotional integrity, they love their partner. But then those situational factors kick in where like
Yeah.
they're at like their workplace environment where let's just say there's like a disproportionate female to male ratio, or let's just say it's like a hands-on job. Like
I mean,
like
not
that
even
happens
that.
a lot too because
Oh.
it's a situation that creates that temptation. It's not necessarily the
but it's
personality
also
characteristics.
also
no,
like
I feel like if the relationship is like in
No,
I-
even
I don't
then,
think, I
even
don't
then,
think
because
that'd be one of the
It
biggest
depends.
factors. Though.
it's
I
not a
feel
big
like-
factor. I'm saying it's like one of the factors.
think it
It can
can
happen where the
That's
situation,
more likely, definitely,
where the
part.
situation makes it more
Like
likely.
if someone realizes they have like they're in a situation that could be improved upon by like switching to someone else, right?
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
Oh,
they
just
see-
being in a garbage relationship to begin with.
Yeah, like in the
Yeah,
relationship
yeah.
is stress, like obviously you're gonna cheat more likely.
But I still feel like, this is just my opinion, like you could be in like the best relationship possible, but I still feel like the situation can be powerful enough to trigger your lust and your
And
I feel like it all depends on the person though.
Yeah.
At the end of it, like if a person has the mindset to begin with of actually,
I
actually
don't know,
cheating.
But what do you mean like what
Let's say
they didn't intend to, like let's just like
there is no such thing as like not intentional.
Yeah,
You do it. You had full mindset and you knew what you were behind. At the end of the day, you knew exactly what you were doing. It's not like, oh, I did this unintentionally. Oh, I didn't know it was gonna happen.
Right.
No, that's bullshit. You had this entire mindset, within you, and yeah, you might, I feel like this is what I also
but you
feel
don't
like.
right.
You do not love another person if you cheat.
Yeah.
That is a clear-cut statement that I have. If
Yeah,
you
I would
love,
agree with that.
If you love another person, you will not go to another person.
I think you just start losing.
But what I'm trying to say is that there's people who are obviously like sociopaths, right? Who like they've cheated in every goddamn relationship because they don't give a shit about. They don't feel any remorse or guilt, so they have those personality traits that make them vulnerable to cheating. What I'm saying is that you can find people on the opposite end who don't necessarily have those traits, but you put them in a situation, like let's just say like they're dealing with an occupation that like is a very hands-on, like let's just say like it's a male physical therapist, right? I'm being biased because like I'm studying that shit. Yeah. And like you're dealing with, so this is just my opinion, but I feel like there's also people who like they'll have like personality traits, right, that don't really indicate that they would cheat on somebody, right? So they might still like love like their spouse or.
Okay, hold on. Again, I don't think if you're in.
Or I shouldn't say love. Right.
If you are in love with the person, you do not cheat on them, and that is a cutthroat statement.
Okay, they might think that they love.
They might think that they love them. They do have they might have an attachment to them. But you were not in love with them.
So if love is just if love is an emotional thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What if you're in a relationship where you're not being fulfilled sexually at all, and you get tempted to cheat, but you still love that person emotionally?
You don't love them.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But think about it. You cheating is still gonna break the other person. You're running the risk of that, right? If you're willing to make that chance, like make that like risk like available, right? Then you don't love that.
Well, I'm just saying some people.
You have that. There's a difference between being attached to somebody and then being in love with somebody. Being in love with somebody is literally like an emotion that like, okay, I definitely don't want to ruin this other person. This is my This is my better half. This is my other half. And I obviously I see them as a potential partner for the rest of my life, and I've scoped that whole way out. Having an attachment to somebody is like, I like their company, I like them being around, I like hanging around them. But then, that's just really it. You don't know how far you're gonna take it out, anything like that. But you do like their company.
Right, you do like their company.
So what you mean is kind of like an attachment. You like what this. So back to your example. You mentioned like somebody's not fulfilling you sexually or whatnot, right? But you do like their company. You do like them being around. They give you nice gifts or whatnot, right? Not even just materialistic ones, but even ones that have some meaning behind them. But like they still don't sexually fulfill you. Then that is an attachment that you have.
That's an attachment, so they don't actually. So that's how you're defining.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
But what I was going back to earlier was like there's people like I said, there's people who you wouldn't have the slightest doubt, right, would cheat on, like, let's just say they're at very strong attachment, right, to their spouse or girlfriend.
Yeah.
But then they're just put in a situation where it like brings it out, like, and sometimes they'll like say like it put me in an awkward situation where I like might just I had lust and I was tempted to cheat. Like, do you think that's true? Like either in their occupation.
It reveals something that was like inherently wrong in the relationship to begin with.
Yeah.
So like the example you gave was that you're not being sexually like satisfied.
Right.
That's like something that's a problem within the relationship, right? It's something that gets
it always
reflected back.
Right. It always goes back to the relationship. Yeah. I'm just saying that the situation can drive like.
Honestly, I think in some cases, your personality may not show whether or not like you were gonna cheat.
Right.
But
you might have like great emotional integrity and everything. Like you might be the most generous person ever, like you're empathetic towards your partner, like you care for her and stuff, but the situation is just so powerful that it can drive you to cheat, and then you might be regretful the very next second it happens, right? So I'm just saying the situation can be very powerful to elicit that.
Yeah.
Regardless of how grade your personality and
It depends on
disposition.
the location you're like.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. But you want to, I guess in a sense, like you kind of want to avoid that location.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You're smart, you realize.
Yeah, like okay, yeah, I'm not supposed to be here for good reasoning,
Right. Yeah.
something like that.
I think still though, like you cheating is still like a terrible reflection.
Oh
of
yeah,
the person,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how like tempting the situation.
It's still a
is.
bad thing. It's not like it doesn't like me saying that doesn't mean that like the person's not at fault at all.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's
they're
still like you still made a
completely at
decision.
fault.
to
Like
cheat
you
on
still
your
made
partner,
that
right?
decision.
Yeah. It's still the onus is still on you, right? For
Exactly.
something, right?
Yeah.
So I think all the situations that you brought up were like there's obviously something either bad in the relationship, either you lost interest or
Right,
something
yeah.
like that. It's just you not being honest to your partner is what brings it upon them. So I don't feel like people should be blaming their partner that you're the one that caused this. Like no,
Right, yeah.
you were not honest to your partner about something, and then you did this behind their back, obviously. Because at the end of the day, you cheated on them, you lied to them about any of this stuff, and obviously you broke another person,
Right.
which is terrible.
I have a question. But what if they're cheating? Like if we go vice versa.
Like you cheat on them once, but then they ended up
Yeah.
doing it like multiple
Yeah.
times, and you just
Or
learned
you
it.
don't cheat, or like the girl cheats. Like you don't know.
What do you mean? This goes both ways. This was meant to go both ways. This isn't one
Yeah,
way.
doesn't matter.
That's why more
Yeah.
people are doing what's that?
Okay, and then now
Yeah.
Consensual cheating.
Yeah.
It's actually
It's an open
it's a
relationship.
Yeah, it's basically an open relationship, but it's a big thing now.
apparently,
Yeah, it is. Consensual
That's
cheating.
I don't agree with it, but yeah, apparently it is.
Man, if it's working for them, great.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. Now, going on the cheating, obviously somebody's broken, or two people might be broken, who knows, right? Then it drags us into what happens now, which is hookup culture.
Right.
Where, people are literally just doing either one night stands, just hooking up for the night, and then that's it. Don't exchange anything, don't even want to contact the person yet again, and then, that's it. How do you feel about this kind of culture?
I despise it.
I despise it too, but like I understand why it happens because of the environment that
They're in, right?
these people are put in
Yeah.
for that to happen.
Exactly.
In particular, colleges.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's also people who aren't trying to hook up, and like I said, they're put in that
Yeah.
Exactly.
relationships,
Yeah.
but they're put in the and they don't even have to be under the influence of alcohol.
It's
Like
just-
usually it
it's
does
just-
happen
yeah.
with alcohol,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
situation elicits
Exactly.
them their temptation to cheat, which
Not
sucks.
even cheating. No, not even cheating.
Just
Really.
hooking.
Just
Hooking.
just two people that are single but just hooking up.
Just hooking up, which
Not
is
even
which
cheating.
some people will say is cheating.
I
So,
would-
but like there are like if you're in a relationship, right?
And
I
then-
mean, no.
and-
I mean,
Yeah, that's still
that's
cheating,
of
right?
course. No, that's
Yeah.
of course. No,
Yeah.
that's.
I thought you meant like that's not.
No.
right, yeah.
That's an of course point. That's
Yeah.
straightforward. I mean, like, give me 1 second. I mean, like two people that are like absolutely single.
Right. Oh, okay.
No,
alright,
no,
yeah.
no other people.
Yeah.
What's up?
Maybe like they're having the same personality, and like you
Yeah.
kind of follow interest to it. Each other.
Yeah, but that would drag you into it. I
Yeah.
see your point.
I mean-
I like your point there, where like I myself don't participate. I really don't like it myself. But I see why other people
Yeah.
would do it because it's like
it's tempting.
they see dating might either be a hassle or bringing on a significant other is just something that they don't want to do at this time
Yeah.
period, but they still want people in their lives. Or
Yeah,
they
exactly.
still want to be able to fulfill something.
Yeah.
Even like as a person who probably who doesn't do it, if you go into that in that environment, you would probably notice why that happens.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
I think people who tend to hook up a lot have successfully made the separation between the lust part of the relationship and understand that there doesn't have to be that much of emotion behind
Right,
what's
emotional
going on in the
connection,
hookup, right? And I think they're just trying to get in and out, trying to get whatever they need satisfied, finished and over with, right? So that's why hookups happen.
It just sucks because there's also there's a subset of people who actually go into college wanting to get into a relationship, but then they realize that their partner is somebody that doesn't have that same mentality. They'll still be in a relationship and they'll be just severely depressed because they found out their partner cheated at a
I was
party
gonna
or
say
something.
a relationship could maybe even cause that hookup culture.
Yeah.
For some
Like,
people, for some
yeah.
I feel like that's what happens to most
Yeah.
people, where
Yeah.
they might have been a relationship kind of person prior,
Yeah.
but then something might have happened to them where they were either cheated on or lied
Exactly,
to,
something bad.
and then it
drives
just kind of got them to the point of I can't trust anybody. I'm gonna
But I still want to enjoy myself.
I want to enjoy myself. I want to be able to fulfill myself.
Yep.
But I just don't want to date anybody.
Exactly.
So I'm just gonna just do these one night stands. And that at that sense, like, okay, you know, fine. If you're gonna do hookup culture, or like, you know, just hook up with people, do it with other people that, you know, have the same mindset.
Mindset,
Don't
right,
go to somebody
Yeah.
and, you know, hook up with them and not, and you know, make them feel like they have the intention of being in a relationship.
Right.
You know?
That's where it gets like toxic.
That's where
It's like another form of leading on.
Exactly. It is like a form of leading on.
But it's like a totally different one. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're hooking up with, but you're not realizing that they might be looking for a relationship. But
Exactly.
You're just
I feel like there's some confusion. And I feel like people should be more upfront about it. Like, look, I don't see this going anywhere. Like, again, this is more of like a very physical thing.
Yeah.
This is all physical, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I think you were extremely attractive, but I just don't see this going anywhere, and you know, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you don't have love for her, but maybe she.
Yeah, exactly. You don't feel a deeper or personal connection with them. It's just physical attractiveness, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just
And that's
And then,
where
yeah.
exactly.
And
It's
if they
fun.
want, like,
It's literally just pleasure.
Yeah.
same thing we're saying, like, if they wanted to, and if you want it, then it's fine. But, like,
Exactly.
just don't
Yeah.
lead them on in that.
Just-
way.
Exactly.
If they're a person that
Exactly.
probably you could
Yeah.
sense when you talk to them after, like, they might want a relationship or something, or they're looking for more connection, I guess. Then at that point, just be like, okay, you know,
That's
If
it.
you do have some kind
I'm
of
only looking
interest,
for a hookup. You know?
if you do have like some kind of interest, you can like get her like Instagram or like some kind of social.
Yeah,
media or
but
something,
like to
numbers.
some extent, like this was
And then you
straight
got-
up only just like.
The hookup.
Yeah, this was only for the hookup. This was just a one night stand. You might not even know their damn name the next day. And then. Okay, so the last thing I gotta ask is, what's your preference? Do you prefer, you know, joining in part of this hookup culture, or are you on the other side where you prefer more relationship stuff?
I say with relationship because like it'll help you with studying and like you want like trustworthy of a person, someone to talk to, someone.
I mean, not in sense of like, you know, what do you want out of the other person? It's like, what do you prefer? Why do you prefer it?
It's like the love feeling.
Mhm.
You.
Okay, that's fair.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
That's fair.
Like someone you can count on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, getting like a best friend, right? That you have.
Maybe
Oh yeah,
depends on-
definitely. Like having a better other half.
I just never really like the prospect of like hooking up with somebody you don't know, right? Because
It's
it usually
visual.
happens at parties or like you know.
Yeah.
Or
when
not
you're-
even that. These days, honestly, you could just go onto Tinder and just be like, if you see somebody
Yeah.
you really like, just be like, you know, come out, meet them out once.
But
you
it's
know,
so like
something
it's so
happens.
like superficial because
Yeah.
all you see is what they look like.
Exactly.
Relationship, like
Like,
you
if
fall
you
in
find a
love with
girl
somebody.
attractive, then maybe you want to like stick it to the girl. But
Wait, what?
if you're attracted to this one girl that you like a lot,
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a love
yeah.
aspect.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get love in a fucking hookup, like right?
there's
I mean, if
Oh,
you do,
maybe,
what do you think?
maybe we'll.
No, there's no way.
I mean, what do you think? What side are you on?
I mean, I can see like there are like a lot of like benefits of being in a relationship, but like, I mean, like for anybody who like doesn't want to deal with that at that point in their life, or I can see like why they.
Why they
Why
want?
they
Yeah.
want it, yeah.
Like if you know, there's a lot of good in relationships, but if you've seriously dealt with a lot of bad, then I can
ones, yeah.
understand it exactly why you would fall or
Yeah,
why you would
exactly.
even join it, because it's essentially like a relationship but without any of the commitment or any of the issues
Emotional
or
attachment.
emotional
Yeah.
attachment. If you are literally
It's just
unavailably or if you are unavailable emotionally unavailable, something
Yeah,
like that, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah,
Or you- or
what
you-
is it, whatever that
right.
is. Right, then it works out for you.
You just gotta get the job done, right?
Yeah.
The hookup,
It takes
that's all
time.
that matters.
It's just like one part of the relationship that like it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't really depend on anything else.
Because at that point, they're just seeking pleasure, right? They're not seeking happiness.
Like
Yeah.
people who engage in hookup culture like are like pleasure seekers in a way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess that's where we'll wrap it up. When
Yeah.
you want to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. I hope it's a topic that you know appeals to you guys in various ways, right? We
Resonates with you.
that resonates
certainly.
with you. I'm sure many of you guys have experienced it firsthand. You know, maybe you enjoyed the hookups, or maybe you didn't, or maybe you started like ruminating on your past relationships after watching us,
Oh yeah.
us just ramble
and if
and
we did,
ramble.
we're sorry.
Yeah, but that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more content. We're gonna have a special guest in soon. Coming soon, and just stay tuned. Like, watch, subscribe. Peace.